So you touched on gold just a little bit, and I know my viewers and a lot of YouTubers who are interested in
Yeah,
these things, what's happening. Can you tell us what would have happened if you would have kept at least some part of your savings in physical gold at home, or maybe digital gold and maybe an ETF or something like that? Could you expand upon what change
yeah.
would have that made?
So gold in the case of Lebanon would have been an interesting investment. First thing, to put things in context, to the Western culture, gold is pretty much a commodity. Like, you only look at gold as either a gift or as an investment. Numbers. Um, in Lebanon and the Arab culture in general, gold is part of our culture. So that's why you see like gold souks when you go like to Arab countries. Um, when you get wed, you have to buy like tons of gold for your wife. It's all like there's the gold buying ceremony whenever you get married. Um, People look at gold as the traditional way to keep money safe. So it's a very traditional thing rather than just being as a investment option. And it's one of those things that your parents would tell you, yeah, go buy gold. It's never the wrong thing. It's the advice that everyone, like, just go buy gold. You don't know what to do with your money, go buy gold. It's always, the go-to answer because it's part of our culture. Gold, a lot of people started asking me even on my videos, like, was it easy to buy gold? Like, now that the Lebanese lira is increasing? Not really, because the value of the gold is in the gold. So when I go and pay for gold, they're going to ask for the dollar value, not for the Lebanon value. Just the way you go and try to buy an iPhone in China, it's not going to be for like $10. It's going to be for the Chinese equivalent of whatever $10, whatever $1,000 is.
It has an
So
international price, right? So
exactly.
you
So it
have to
has an
pay what it
international
you
price.
have to pay.
So
It's
even
not
if our
right.
current currency is devaluating, doesn't mean anything. It just means, like, I need to pay more money to buy gold. It's not cheaper. $100 still buys you $100 worth of gold. A
But
lot of
that's
people ask
cash
me if,
dollars, US cash dollars, not the
yeah,
dollars
exactly,
that were stuck in
exactly.
the bank. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, a lot of people would ask me, like, did people start using gold or silver in exchange? Not really. We did not yet see that because most people want money. You don't want to be, worried about liquidating things. Um, People who had gold, I mean, the nice thing with gold is that it stores value, but then you really need to liquidate it. And if it's physical gold, you still need to liquidate it when you need. And the problem with gold, like, it's not easy to liquidate. Like, it's like some people have gold bars, some people have small. It's not very practical.
Right.
But yeah, some people sold their gold. So a lot of people, their savings were, when their cash savings disappeared, they tended to sell gold if they didn't have any other assets.
Right. So it's it kind of worked as a savings that now they can touch to sell. So at least they have that money.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. And a lot of people actually, a lot of people used the crisis to trade. So, and that's expected and unfortunate at the same time, because it creates fake supply and demand that does not reflect the real needs of the society that it's coming from. Um, People started getting too worried about prices going up, and the question to many people was no longer how to stay safe. It was how to make the most profit. That's what's causing a big problem, is that every few weeks, the currency virtually drops by 25%, and
Right.
people start selling their dollars because what they think is that oh my God, the lira is getting better, so I want to make the most money out of my dollar before it's back. Some people still think the dollar would go back to 1,500.
Right.
So the latest dip was when the government was formed. It dipped by like 40%. We had hundreds of people like lining on exchange places to sell their dollars because they're like, oh my God, it's losing value. I want to make as much money out of this. So the government is using these tactics to pull out dollars from the market. And then
very interesting
5
point.
days later, it skyrockets back up. And you know that it's not real supply and demand because the guy at the exchange shop will not give you dollars. He'll only take your dollars.
Right.
And it's everywhere. People talking about it. I have a TikTok which targets the Lebanese audience, so I give that sort of awareness. I always try to get them to think logically. Some people really want to resist logic, you know. I mean, one of the tips was simply before buying or selling $100, just ask the guy if he would give you $100. Like, why would those exchange places buy $10 million on that day if they know that it's dipping? Like, doesn't work. Like, it does not logically work, right? So people, the public was giving dollars and those places were taking dollars. Why would they take your dollars if they know that the market is dipping? If the market is dipping, you would not be able to sell your dollars. So a lot of people are not educated enough, and they're really managed by fear, fear of loss. By fear and greed, and those are the two worst things, you know, like fear and greed. Like, you put them together, and
chaos.
A lot of people buy dollars when they do the opposite. You know, they sell in the dip and then they buy when it's up, and because it's again greed. They see that. Same with Bitcoin. A lot of people bought at like 60,000 because, oh my God, it's 60,000. I'm gonna buy, and that's the worst thing to do, right? And then, oh my God, it's 30,000. I should sell. And those people never make money in their life. And that's how a lot of
management just sucks more wealth out of the general public.
And there's
as
the
bad
logic
as the situation is, they keep on sucking more
and many
out
people
of
refuse
the
that
general
logic.
public.
Many people refuse that logic because they're more governed by fear and by greed. They're not trying to protect themselves. They're trying to make the most or lose the least. Every few months, every 2-3 months, they create this fake drop in price, which many experts, not just me, I mean, I'm not an expert even, I'm an observant, but many experts speak about how this is a fake dip because, I mean, the reason a currency would gain back like or 40% of value, that's a lot. You're not talking about like 2-3%. You're talking about in the morning, it was 20,000 per or like 23,000. And then in the evening, it's for 16,000. That's a lot of like fluctuation.
Yes. So they can use this against the population
naturally.
Yeah.
It does not happen naturally. And there's no money being pumped into the market. It's really speculations, and it's just random numbers that we use phone apps to decide how to, like, it's literally like the joke. It's literally a phone app. No one knows who made it that dictates how Lebanon works today. Like, no one knows who the hell. There are like 5-6 phone apps. And the government
tell you the price. Yeah.
And they tell you the price like based on God knows what, like their calling or whatever. You don't even know who created those apps. You even have different prices on different apps.
Imagine living in that chaos. Imagine living in that.
It's this nothing that's running the Lebanese economy right now. Like, you go to a store to buy like a phone and he's like, yeah, this is $800. Well, I want to pay in Lebanese. How much would that be? Oh, let me check this app. Who I don't know where they're getting the number. Well, that will be $10 million. It's really funny. Like, Who would have thought? But when the government is not giving you, the government is not admitting the problem, the government is not managing the problem, the government is not giving you a real alternative to use, people will rely on the closest answer they can get.
Right, and they tend to lose faith in the currency that they have used ever since their childhood. Slow in the sense that, as you said, that they think, oh, this is the time where we're going back up, right? And let me buy some more. It was the same, and that's why even in Romania they never really used gold or silver to make exchanges, because, well, first of all, it's something good that you want to keep, hopefully not to
Exactly, because
sell until it's really you
exactly.
don't have anything to sell. And then even if you do have to, you switch it into the local currency, and then everybody knows how to kind of manage now through apps, back then through other means, and you deal with that. You deal with the paper and
Right.
shuffling paper. So it's very hard to understand that for Western countries, or a lot of people who collect gold or silver. But that's what experience says, that you actually keep it, yes, but then you'll have to switch it in something else that other people who don't understand or like to deal in gold because it's not liquid for them, then you deal in those situations. So that is very
Exactly.
quite interesting. And when you mentioned that you are exchanging dollars to Lebanese pound or and other currencies. Now, back in Romania, we used to have people standing in alleys with a couple of other people behind them, with a lot of cash on them, probably a local cop paid off and so on. But eventually these were turned into exchange houses, where they became sort of a semi-legal or legal business, that the only thing they do, you go inside, it's much safer now, and you trade, I don't know, you bring your dollars and they give you Lebanese liras,
Mm-hmm.
like, or in our case, Romanian lei. So do you have these exchange houses set up, or just
No, in
now every
Lebanon,
store accepts everything and they make the change right there?
so one thing that stopped in Lebanon is that dollars are no longer used for everyday transactions. So that's set aside, because for everyday transactions, smaller transactions, people would rather not use their dollars, because 2 years ago, if I had $5 and if I had 7,500, it doesn't matter which I gave, right? Because dollars are not more valuable to me. That was until 2 years ago. Right now, for everyday transactions, no one uses dollars because everyone wants to keep their dollars. So they would keep as much dollars as they can. They would go exchange. So what I would do is I would exchange as much as I need in Lebanese, because it might keep going up. So I exchange the needs for my week. And I pay with Lebanese. I no longer pay in dollars. Because another thing is that in some places where things are not dollar based. So example, if you're buying a phone and this phone is worth $500, it's okay. You can pay in $500 and there's no exchange rate because the phone is priced in dollars. But if you go to a restaurant and you buy for 30,000 liras, 2 years ago, 30,000 liras, $20, very easy. Right now, there's like even some places like bigger establishments, even if you offer dollars, they do not accept it because they do not have the framework to do that. Some would abuse it, actually. Like they would tell you just because all the bills right now, when you look at bills in restaurants, it still reflects the $1,500. So you go to the restaurant, like it's 30,000 liras and it says in dollars, and we always had two currencies, it still says $20, but that right now is barely $2. And some tourists would pay the $20 and leave because they don't know.
I understand.
Although in real life, that's only $2. So most businesses would not even want to get into that. Unless it's a small business where the guy is maybe being honest, and would give you a decent exchange rate, but there's no way to really standardize that in a chain of restaurants, for example. So you try to pay dollars, they tell you we don't take dollars, which sounds stupid, but
Yeah,
they cannot
sure.
function otherwise. When I exchange, actually in Lebanon, you can still, it's called black market, but it's not alleyways and it's not like hiding behind like the towel. um, you just go into any exchange store or shop that you used to go to. And there was, I mean, at the beginning, you know, when the government is still trying to show that they're trying, we got this in control, under control, like they would do what we call like plays, like a theatrical play. Like they would say like, oh, anyone who is trading dollars in using the unofficial rate, they will get like closed. And they do that, like they go like to a couple small shops and like, oh, we closed them, and then no one can sell without, no one can use other than the official exchange rate. But then you go and try to buy and no one would sell you. As simple as that. Like we don't do that. But then the reality really took over. So right now there's no control over that. The only source Lebanese people have for their dollars is those exchange stores, and they no longer control. The same thing with the fuel shortage right now. So, you know, you cannot monopolize fuel. You cannot store fuel because you know that next week it's going to be more expensive. Legally, there is a law against that. But in practice, is it really happening? Not even close. People are storing fuel. People are creating fuel black market. Yeah.
Something very similar we had in Romania with fuel, where the shortages would be happening, and then people would modify their cars to have not extra tank inside or something like that, and they would drive over the border to Ukraine or
To
something like
sell,
that.
yeah, we had that. We still have it. It's still going on, especially that the government is
Dangerous
still
too. Yeah.
subsidizing the fuel, which is a big problem. I was always, you know, rooting for removing subsidies because people can already not buy. They cannot buy
It
fuel
doesn't work
at
for a long
those
time.
rates.
Yeah.
They don't exist. Like if you want to buy fuel at the subsidized rate, you would need to wait for like 10 hours and you might not even get any. Every other car on the gas station, like there would be like literally hundreds. Like one night I saw at least 1,000 cars parked from 10 p.m. They're sleeping in their car. The gas station might open at 9 and might not. That's how crazy it is. So, and every other car is using this to make money because your salary is probably worth $50 right now. But if you sell 2 tanks worth of fuel every day for like 20 days, you would make $3,000 a month in profit. So $50
So
for
everybody
paying my
starts
ass off.
speculating now instead, because no, why should they work for the devalued currency? You
Exactly.
just
So
make
they
things
go and
horrible.
they are creating the black market, like at least 50%. Like you would hear people speaking on the phone when waiting in line, like, hey, send 6 cars to the gas station on this street, send 5 cars. Like it's everywhere. Every other car on the gas station is trading. People who have taxis, they're not barely gonna make anything. They just go and do what's illegal and what's hurting the Lebanese people because they're really abusing. This is unethical. I mean, to me, that's not an entrepreneur. That's an unethical person.
Taking advantage of
I
the
mean,
system and the people that are hurting.
entrepreneurship would be probably paying someone to wait in line for you or creating an app for people to come and wait. You would be, you know, that money instead of
Creating
me giving it.
value somehow instead of speculating. Yeah.
Exactly, like me, instead of like paying 300 or like 300,000 liras to buy 10 liters of gas from the black market, I could probably pay 300,000 liras to someone who needs it. I'm paying it anyways, right? I can pay to
Right.
someone who needs it. You can go work. he'll spend it. I
The
wouldn't be supporting the
subsidies
black market.
create just a parallel markets that people are now
Exactly.
trying to take advantage of, and it's just instead of
Even with
actually
medicine,
producing
even
value,
with
it's
medicine, a lot of the medicine
mm,
shortage is made up. Like another play that the government did was, just uh, getting into a medicine supply, like storage facility, and hundreds of medicines that have not been found in the market for like months, like they had them stored. And they did this whole, TV thing, like, oh, why aren't you selling these? You should be in jail, and I don't know why. And like,
right.
people are dying, and you have this medicine stored. Like, you would literally go out and try to look for medicines, and you would not find them. You would try like 20 pharmacies, and they don't exist. But then some people are hiding them. Medicines that could be as simple as like painkillers to cancer medications or diabetes medications. A lot of people made money off that. And I really cannot imagine how can someone abuse something as medicine,
I understand.
But then that they did their whole play thing, but that did not solve the problem because
So
aside from that guy, there's hundreds doing them, and they're all backed. We have a mafia system in Lebanon, so they all support each other. It's all, and this is
if
not
the
conspiracy.
ground is fertile for something like that to happen, it will happen. It will just happen. So
Exactly.
um, what in what way would you prepare? What would you buy now? Let's say we go back in time and you have 6 months or 3 months, or pick a time, a couple of months that you know exactly. You just traveled back in time with what you know now and what you saw in Lebanon. What would be the steps that you take? Name 5 steps that you would take in order to make your situation right now better. Thank you for watching the interview. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to catch the rest of the interview. Also remember to like and share the video. See you soon.